Welcome to Old Grump's Garage. I don't know, folks, it doesn't smell like gas. Now it's beginning to smell like gas. That's some pretty cloudy looking fuel right there. And that, my friends, is the inside of a fuel tank that's been flooded. And this is what came out of the transmission after we drained the mineral spirits out of it that we left soak. So for those of you who aren't familiar with an MG, to check the transmission fluid in an MG, you crawl under the dash, you pull this little rubber stopper out of this hole right here, you reach in the hole, and there's the dipstick. Believe it or not, they thought you should be able to fill it from there. I don't know how in the world you could ever do that. It's hard enough just to get the dipstick back in. Thus, I pulled the inspection cover, the shifter cover off of the transmission tunnel, the inspection cover off the top of the transmission to make it easier to fill. I think when the British come up with the idea of filling it through that little hole way back there under the dash, they had been drinking too much warm beer that day. Looks like he still wants a little bit more. If you're hearing a noise in the background besides the two fans because it's 91 degrees in the shop, it just started raining outside on our metal roof as well. Okay, it's drained long enough, it says that it's full. All right, so the Hurricane MG's been sitting with for 2 weeks now with clean oil in the oil pan, and we've got a mixture of oil and ATF in the cylinder heads, and I'll take an inspection here and with our camera and valve springs, and the valve springs look nice and clean in there. All right. Well, that's reassuring from the top side at least. I think what we'll do now is we'll drop the oil out of the pan, let that drain, and once it's completely drained, we'll scope up from the bottom side and see what the crankshaft and bearings can tell us. And then we're going to evacuate the oil and ATF that's sitting in the spark plug holes on top of the pistons as best we can. Scope down that direction and see what we see from there. All right, let's just take a little gander. Okay, screen looks clean. A little sludge there on the screen, but not much. There's rod. Rod looks clean. Surprisingly looks good from the bottom side. Guess maybe we're just dealing with pistons and rings on the bores. We interrupt this program to ask you to take a moment and like the video and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It'll really help us maintain the channel and continue to provide you content that you find interesting to help you along your way as you're restoring square bodies and other old Chevrolet pickup trucks. And it continues to grow our community. Thank you for your support, and we now return you to your regularly scheduled program. All right, so I took this huge 550cc syringe and a section of hose that came with it, and I have pulled out all the fluid that was on top of all the pistons where we've had it soaking with ATF and motor oil. The final withdrawal, most of those cylinders also was pulling out muddy water. So apparently there's been water sitting on those cylinders all along. All of that's been vacuumed out, and so now we're going to do a little bore scope in here and see what we see. A little bit of rust in those cylinder walls. Let's see. Let's take a look again. And you can see some rusted pitting on those cylinder walls there in the first hole. I'll wipe the camera off, get all the gunk and transmission fluid off of it. Let's see what we see in hole number 2. Looks like it's still got some fluid on top of that piston. And number 3. Still looks like there's some water sitting on that one. Number 4. A little bit of fluid there. All right. I think our next course of action is vinegar in each cylinder. What is the smallest funnel I got? See, that piston must be the furthest one up by how quickly it filled. All right, I don't know if you can see it. Zoom in for you a little bit. If you can see that cylinder there, still got a little muddy looking mess coming up of it, and it's a light brown, which indicates there's still some salty water in there, because what was in there was oil and transmission fluid, so you should be a reddish black, and that's coming up tan, which is kind of indicating to me there's still a little muddy water in that cylinder. This one's coming up pretty clear with the vinegar. This one's to the redder side, and this one I can see a little tannish color and some clear, and it's almost like that level's gone down a little bit, so that ring may be freeing up some. So we're going to let that sit for several days. We'll vacuum all that out with the syringe again, and see what the cylinders look like at that point. And then we're probably going to chase this with a soaking of Marvel Mystery Oil. So my thought is probably about a week of soak with the vinegar, and then we'll chase it with Marvel Mystery Oil for maybe another week or so, and keep trying with that breakover bar and socket to get it to manually roll over.